At the beginning of the story, our boy is drinking a Red Bull while watching TV, and the news reports that, in the past few days, a mysterious game called Post-Apocalyptic has suddenly become popular on the internet. And gamers are so hooked on its story that it's making boys forget their daily popping boner rituals and get addicted like it's the New York street guys. But the developer is still unknown, as if the game suddenly appeared out of thin air. However, our protagonist doesn't get any adrenaline from video games, so he prefers doing other productive, unholy bedtime experiments with his favorite doll. After drinking another Red Bull, he heads to bed while tossing the empty can aside, lies down with his premium-grade cultured body pillow, and starts snoozing, drooling like a broken faucet. But while he's lost deep in dreamland, he suddenly wakes after hearing a soft voice and finds a girl sitting on top of him. Half asleep and barely processing reality, our boy looks at her, wondering if he's dreaming or if the Red Bull just unlocked some next-level fantasy mode. However, he feels a monster clamping down on his eggplant, making him jolt in sharp pain. As his eyes snap open, he immediately grabs the nearest emergency milk flotation device without thinking and starts squeezing it, making the girl let out a soft whimper of pleasure. After this, he quickly pushes her away and asks who she is, but the girl looks visibly disappointed, as if she wanted a little more chaos. She then introduces herself as Ren, from some indistinct financial group, her cheeks still flushed from the recent workout, and then apologizes for trying to snap his twig off with her industrial-strength crotch clamp. Just then, she slowly crawls closer to him, and as they both look out the window, his eyes suddenly widen in pure shock. At that moment, a massive werewolf bursts in, swinging his oversized meat sword around with zero respect for personal space, but Ren quickly burns him in flames. Our boy's expression goes completely blank after seeing the situation, but what he can barely process is the fact that there's a hole in his apartment big enough to qualify as a new entry point for his depression because he's already blown all his cash on rubber dolls and body pillows. Ren says that before she completes her extraction, no one can think about harming our boy. Our boy and Ren look down through the hole in the apartment and see more werewolves climbing up the building. Just then, Ren jumps out without a second thought, telling him she'll burn them to ashes and then continue where they left off in their pleasure. After that, she unleashes more magical power with a piercing shriek, and seeing this, our boy becomes extremely frustrated and confused about what's going on. Just then, he hears something on the TV saying that he's developed a powerful game that has already broken the dimensional wall, and then the TV casually asks if he's ready. Seeing the TV talking, our boy suddenly falls completely silent in shock, then immediately picks up his heavy chair, ready to smash it. However, the TV happily explains that he's the creator of the famous Apocalyptic game, and his real name is Wang Sheng, who's only used a tiny fraction of his incredible power and has completely made useless people hooked. Our boy then seriously asks if he really created all these terrifying werewolves and huge milk bazookas floating crazily outside his window right now. Wang Sheng explains that playing games on the phone isn't cool, so he decides to integrate the game into the real world. He also reveals that the woman and the werewolves are all characters from the game, and they have come to find him. Our boy gets a little confused hearing this, and reveals that he has never even touched his worthless game, but then demands to know why they are looking for him. Wang Xiang then explains that he was on the hunt for a ruler to represent all of creation in his video game, and while browsing the internet, he accidentally came across a picture of him posted on Instagram and decided to use it. So, he was actually the almighty savior in the eyes of all the game characters, which is why the girl had come to ask him for help. And since only video game characters can enter the real world, and he cannot enter the game world, Ren's purpose is to steal his sperm so she can return to the game world and give birth to a baby. Hearing this, our boy's eyes fill with tears, a mix of pressure and self-doubt creeping in as he wonders whether he will even be able to satisfy the girl. He then asks when the other girls are coming, and Wang Xiang casually replies that the girls can come at any time. In a panic, he starts doing some exercises, trying to crank his libido to the ultra max in hopes of triggering the infinite stamina glitch. However, Wang Xiang tells him to calm down, reassuring him that they only need one descendant. So, no matter who takes his virginity, in the end, either his top head or his bottom head will be chopped off. Hearing this, our boy grabs his bag in panic, declaring that he isn't about to let his glorious life end at the hands of some deranged, talking TV with a god complex. So he decides to take full advantage of the chaos unfolding around him and make a run for it before his balls become a tragic scientific experiment. However, as he looks outside, he sees countless portals opening in the sky, each one unleashing a raging stream of purple piss, leaving everyone in the city frozen in absolute shock at the insane sight. Our boy asks him what is happening in the sky, to which Wang Xing explains that his video game has already broken the dimensional wall, causing all kinds of equipment, items, and even real milk-filled pillows from the game to slowly arrive in this world, along with the descendants, and now his useless life has officially turned into a game. Our boy gets pissed off hearing this, and realizes that if everyone in the world wants to catch him, then running around like a clueless idiot would be completely pointless. He then looks out of his apartment hole and notices Ren lying in front of the third-level giant Wolf King in a completely disheveled state, looking like she is about to become Wolf Chow. After seeing this, he asks Wang Xiang to at least give him some powerful skills and equipment, since he's the protagonist of this game. Wang Xiang cheekily tells him that he'll give him some skills, but only if he makes him feel good first. Doing so will earn him points to draw cards and unlock random abilities. Hearing this, our boy makes a confused face like he's constipated, thinking he'll actually have to start fingering the outdated DVD player. But Wang Xiang says that he squeezed Ren's milk airbags earlier, which was absolutely brilliant, so he gives him 30 points. Just then, Wang Xiang suddenly pops up 3 glowing, floating cards in front of him, red for skills, blue for equipment, and gold for medicine, and asks him to choose one. Our boy immediately picks the skill card and gains the Flame Blast Fist power, which lasts for 5 minutes. Just then, he obtains his own glowing Omnitrix, containing the devastating Flame Fist power, and quickly rotates it to select the explosive ability. He then activates the skill, and in an instant, violently begins to transform into a blazing, unstoppable force. Meanwhile, the fierce werewolf attacks Ren with its massive, powerful claws, sending her flying across the street while each vicious strike begins to rip her clothes. In the end, she lies completely helpless on the ground in front of the beast. The werewolf charges up its final attack to finish her off, and she already says goodbye to her dad, apologizes for not being able to bring back the Savior's child, and promises to repay him in her next life. But in a bright blaze, our boy runs down the building and jumps straight at the werewolf, landing a punch right on its face. Without missing a beat, he immediately smashes it with another punch so hard that half its mangled body sinks into the ground. Ren can't believe her young master can pull off such a feat, and when she realizes he does it all while wearing flip-flops, she is instantly soaked. However, more werewolves rush at them, making her panic as she quickly alerts him. Before she can react further, they all leap at him at once, but he simply takes a deep breath and blasts them away like it's nothing. Our boy doesn't stop here. In a split second, he locks his target onto the main lonely werewolf with deadly precision and rushes at it with lightning speed. He lands a devastating punch straight to its gut, making the beast collapse with a pained grunt. As the werewolf fades away, he earns 50 experience points. Suddenly, a blue glowing status screen appears in front of him, displaying his updated stats, a testament to his growing strength. And for the first time, we find out that our boy's real name is Han. Later, while he's patching up the giant hole in his apartment, Wang Xiang cheerfully asks if he's enjoying his new hardcore video game. However, Han is clearly irritated, and angrily tells him that he doesn't like his worthless game. But then Ren shyly asks if they can finally continue from where they left off. Our boy looks at her, and for a moment, he badly feels like dropping his pants. But then he remembers that they'll just kill him after robbing his sperm. So, he tosses the hammer aside and tells her he's going out to grab some late-night snacks. He opens the door and tells her to wait for him, but before he can even take a step, someone pushes him off with brutal force. As he hits the floor, someone steps right on him, pinning him down like a helpless bug. He sees an insanely hot mommy looking serious as she tells him she's carrying out a crucial task, and firmly instructs him to cooperate without question. She then explains that they suspect an abnormal intruder in his house, and her name is Lynn Fei, and she's a special duty officer, which makes his boner start to stir. She commands her people to enter his house, and without hesitation, Lynn and her squad begin thoroughly searching every inch of the apartment, leaving no stone unturned. Meanwhile, Han looks around and feels a wave of relief as he notices that Ren is gone. He then tells Lynn that he's a respectful citizen with a fully functional boner who doesn't commit any crimes and has no bad habits. Suddenly, Mommy bends over and she has the entire 2 premium, soft, massive cushions behind her. Wang Xiang makes a perverted face into the walkie-talkie, and the moment our boy catches sight of it, his dirty, intrusive thoughts go into overdrive. With no hesitation, he unleashes a slap so fierce it could register on the Richter scale, and his smoke starts coming out of her hot cheeks like an overcooked steak. He instantly apologizes in a panic, realizing he might have just crossed a line that can't be fixed. Lynn slowly turns around and angrily deems this guy a walking red flag to society, and orders her squad to take him to the station so she can interrogate him personally. After this, our boy is taken away with top-notch security for the crime of smacking her soft ass so hard, but he claims that he is innocent. Suddenly, a nearby building explodes, and we see cheap Dr. Octopus robbing a bank, but there are also all kinds of other monsters, like the Incredible Bulk, Jerk Pull, and a whole circus of off-brand villains, wreaking unstoppable havoc across the streets, while our boy watches this madness unfold around him. After seeing this, Lynn contacts headquarters to report the chaos and requests that they stop the robbers, but she thinks these monsters deserve an explosive up their buttholes rather than being arrested, which makes our boy panic on the spot. Later, they arrive at the Special Services headquarters, where our boy is forcefully slammed into the hot seat and left alone in the room. While he's thinking about his bad situation, Wang Xiang appears on a security camera screen, expressing his disappointment and claiming that with his skills, he could have wiped out everyone with ease, yet he still got caught. Hearing this, Han angrily blames Wang Xiang for choosing his image, which ended up making him a prime target for hunting in both worlds. While Lynn casually sips her steaming coffee, she asks him how he is behaving now, fully confident that being locked up alone would shatter his fragile mind in no time. But our boy's balls aren't even trembling as he defiantly argues with the security camera, giving the middle finger for good measure. After witnessing this, Lynn realizes she underestimated him, and his psychological resilience might be on a whole other level. Frustrated, she storms out of the room and heads straight toward him, but just as she's about to step inside, a guy named Tang suddenly shows up like a lovesick puppy and asks her to go on a date with him. However, Lynn immediately rejects him, but Tang grabs her hand. At that moment, he comes close and tells her to give him a chance, claiming he'll beat Johnny Sins in timing and make her night unforgettable. Lynn then gives him a death stare and says she'd rather suck an old man's paralyzed boner than go on a date with him. She closes the door in his face, and the other hot officers erupt into laughter, leaving Tang helplessly shaking with embarrassment like a malfunctioning vibrator. Hearing their mocking gossip, he begins to boil with anger. Meanwhile, Lynn asks him why the first invasion happened at his place. Our boy tries playing the clueless card, but she slams her hand on the table, telling him she knows his wall was broken by an external force, and demanding to know why they were after him, causing him to stutter nervously and sweat profusely as he struggles to respond. Meanwhile, we see Tang quickly fixing his pants and then find out that he also has his own Omnitrix. Using his boner powers, he brutally takes down the 2 officer girls, leaving their battered bodies sprawled across the stairs in a pool of blood. Without a second glance, Tang sprints down the stairs and enters the evidence room. After extracting vital information from the officer about the unknown items they brought, Tang steps forward with brutal precision and violently drives his hand into the officer's chest. As the officer's lifeless body crumples to the floor, Tang steps closer to the mysterious objects that look almost like high-end NVIDIA GPUs, his icy gaze locked on them and his eyes burning with chilling intent. On the other side, the other officers, shocked by the blood-soaked scene at the staircase, immediately report the situation to the director, Lin Wanshan, and informing him that Tang has killed his colleagues. Just then, another officer bursts in breathless and revealing that they've found Tang's location. Hearing this, the director stands up from his chair, fury burning in his eyes, and promises that he'll make Tang regret everything, starting with a hardcore punishment. Soon after that, the SWAT team positions themselves in front of the evidence room, fully geared, locked and loaded, and then the director orders them to attack without hesitation. They move forward with their heavy battering ram and swing it hard and fast to break down the door, but then the room erupts in a violent explosion, sending the team flying across the hallway like a bunch of ragdolls. Out of the smoke, Tang walks out perfectly fine, and when the SWAT team unleashes a barrage of bullets at him, he puts on venom-like bulletproof armor, making their bullets do nothing but tickle him. After this, the director orders the next attack, and the SWAT team tosses a metal grenade, releasing a cloud of liquid nitrogen in an attempt to freeze and shatter his armor. Tang simply smirks and unleashes a wave of flames that incinerates the nitrogen and everything in its path, Seeing this, the director yells for everyone to evacuate and steps in to deal with Tang. The two close in with unstoppable force, their fists colliding with each other so hard that it sparks a mini explosion, instantly knocking out everyone nearby. Meanwhile, Lynn is still suffocating our boy with her oversized milk jugs, but then she switches into her favorite position, going for a more aggressive approach, pressing him into submission until he finally confesses. Suddenly, the alarm blares, and she rushes outside to see what's happening, only to hear that Tang has put on his vibranium armor and is destroying everything in his way. Moments later, with a loud, crashing sound, Tang suddenly breaks through the upper ceiling and lands hard. Lynn quickly pulls out her gun from her soft cheeks, but before she can fire, Tang slams his elbow into her with immense force, sending her flying straight into the interrogation room as Han watches. Tang pins her against the wall, realizing he lacks the charm to win her naturally, so he resorts to forcefully dragging her into a date. But then Lynn asks for help, while our boy tries to sneak away, but then says he doesn't want to disturb the lovely couple's romantic brawl. Tang tells him to hurry up and get out, but just as Han starts to leave, Wang Xiang yells at Tang for attacking a defenseless chick like some unhinged psycho on steroids, causing our boy to break into a nervous sweat. Tang gets angry when he hears this, but then Han nervously says he isn't the one speaking, it's actually the security camera. Tang angrily points his finger and gives him a final warning to leave the room. But as Tang turns his attention back to Lin, Wang Xiang calls him a pathetic loser with a useless micro-penis, saying he's better suited for eating feces than being with a beautiful girl. Hearing this, Tang's fury erupts like a busted sewer pipe, and Han cryingly tries to explain the situation, but Tang bolts at him to attack, turning his arm into metal. Han quickly draws a skill card, and he got another fire-based skill that lasts for 10 minutes. He activates his firepower, and by the time Tang realizes that he also has powers, it's far too late. Our boy lands a fiery punch, causing a massive explosion that sends Tang flying a few feet back, but the impact is so weak that even his pubic hair barely moves. He realizes Han was just pretending to be weak, and with a wicked grin, he unleashes a surge of cosmic power to chase the two. Meanwhile, Han and Lin manage to escape and find a temporary safe room where they finally get a moment to breathe easy. Suddenly, Wang Xiang appears in the computer and furiously calls our boy a coward with smaller balls than a newborn puppy, while Lin is shocked to see the computer talking. However, he gets close and angrily points out that the guy has a bunch of skills in his Omnitrix, making him impossible to defeat. Wang Xiang blushes and tells him that if he pleases his CPU by oiling it up, he can have as many skills as he wants. Lin can't believe her eyes that the computer is actually talking to our boy, but then Han explains that this guy is the real culprit who brought the game world into reality. Lin now realizes why Tang suddenly became so powerful. He must have taken advantage of the situation and claimed all the items recovered by the Special Operations Bureau. She then tells him she's going to find her dad so he can teach Tang a brutal lesson. However, Wang Xiang mockingly asks if she's talking about this half-cooked man, which makes her stop after hearing it, and then he flashes his picture on the screen. Lin is brought to tears at the sight of her dad in such a pitiful state, and to make matters worse, a three-headed wolf is closing in on them. She pleads with our boy to save her dad. Just then, Wang Xiang happily tells her to hurry up and get Han's boner excited as fast as possible, so he can be rewarded with even more points. Lin pulls up her pants, flashing a bit of her thighs, but Wang Xiang isn't satisfied and says that maybe she just isn't attractive enough for Han. Hearing this, she angrily pushes our boy down and yanks off her panties, triggering his third eye as he starts drooling, completely mesmerized by her pussycat like it's a forbidden treasure at the end of a hellish maze. Lin shyly asks if that's enough, and Wang Xiang is completely satisfied upon seeing Lin's soft cheeks and magical gait. Lin then quickly fixes herself, and our boy apologizes for making her do all that. He gains 200 experience points, and a bright blue screen suddenly flashes in front of him, revealing that he's been promoted to level 3. With this, he now has a higher chance of getting high-level items from cards. Suddenly, the wolf starts banging on their door, making Lin panic. But then, our boy quickly makes a decision and picks all 3 cards at once. He acquires S-level equipment with unlimited time, and armor begins materializing around his arm with sparks. Along with that, he gains B-level meds and a C-level earth attack skill, ready for whatever comes next. The wolf breaks into the room and immediately flies toward Lin, but our boy jumps in with his Doomfist gloves and smashes the wolf onto the ground with a punch, causing the attack to register on the Richter scale. When Tang is leaving, the building behind him erupts in a fiery explosion. He's momentarily stunned, but then a wicked grin spreads across his face as he realizes Han is much stronger than he thought and rushes in to see for himself. Our boy is surprised that his fist just annihilated the wolf in one hit. Wang Xiang cheekily explains that the equipment he has is one of only 4 S-level pieces, and if he collects all of them, it will form an SSS-level god armor. At that moment, our boy oils up Wang Xiang's boner so he can get the complete SSS-level armor set earlier, to which Wang agrees, promising that he will manipulate the system to give the best items from those draws. Han grabs Lynn's hand and suggests they save everyone, thinking that by flattering the system, he will be able to keep it under his control. Suddenly, a crystal attack flies at him, but he manages to block it just in time. Tang smirks and proposes an alliance, saying that together, they can take over the world. However, he tells Tang that he has zero interest and just wants to go home, curl up in bed, and sleep with his favorite dolls. Hearing this, Tang throws a couple of crystal rocks at him, and he quickly tells Lynn to go rescue the others while he stays back to bust his head. Our boy shatters the crystal rocks with ease, but Tang wastes no time, closing in fast and delivering a left punch. Our boy blocks it effortlessly and slowly starts freezing Tang's arm, stopping his movement entirely. Tang is stunned as the ice begins cracking ominously, sparks flying from the friction, but then our boy delivers a brutal, full-force punch straight into Tang's gut, sending him flying violently through the building. Even Han is shocked that his noodle arm can generate that much destructive power. Just then, Wang Xiang smiles and explains that this is the amazing power of his S-level armor. Hearing this, he drops to his knees and gives Wang Xiang more ridiculous booty bumps like a pro, but suddenly, someone grabs his shoulder, and it turns out to be Lynn's half-baked dad, looking furious. Meanwhile, Lynn comes sprinting, looking for her dad, and sees many officers badly hurt, but then the nurse tells her he got up and went to find Tang. On the other hand, our boy quickly takes a step back, but then Lynn's dad steps forward and swinging a punch. But our boy dodges the powerful fist that smashes through the wall, making Han panic when he sees the massive hole. Lynn's dad doesn't stop for a moment and calls him Tang in anger and rushes forward with a strong left punch. Our boy decides to run for his life, but luckily, Lin Fei arrives just in time to stop her dad, and he finally calms down and returns to his senses. Later, at the headquarters, Lin's dad is sitting on the chair, and the 2 nurses are carefully treating his wounds. Just then, one officer tells them that they have searched everywhere but could not find any trace of him, which clearly frustrates him. When Lin's dad finds out from Han that this strange incident is directly related to the Apocalypse game, he immediately asks our boy to show him the system, because he doesn't believe it. However, Han tells him that he has been calling the system for a long time, but it is not coming out. She explains that Han isn't lying, and that the computer was actually speaking. Lin's dad starts worrying because Tang was only able to get a few items yet caused this much devastating chaos, and they still have no clue how many of those dangerous things exist in society. So with a serious tone, he declares that Lin will now take full command as the leader of the special operation, while Han will undergo intense combat training and also assist Lin in every possible mission ahead. Our boy tries to run away from the situation, but before he can blink, Lin's dad pulls a full-on horror movie teleport and pops up right behind him, reminding him that he made a hole in his building with one punch, and he also felt the warmth of his daughter's milk airbags in his mouth. Later that night, the 2 get back to Han's apartment, and our boy is bummed out that he somehow has to help her, because her dad threatened him. When he says this, Lin tells him he has to help her anyway, because he's already seen her industrial grip back in that room. Our boy wonders why she's suddenly pouting and acting all soft and weak when before she was being such a heroic woman. He walks into his house, and she tells him to pack up and come with her because Tang will definitely pull up to this place. However, our boy's greeted with a nice pair of cheeks in his favorite position, and Ren tells him she'll wash away all his tiredness, which leaves him completely frozen. Lin witnesses this and tells him he already has a woman, but our boy in a louder voice says that she's not his woman. Afterward, they arrive at the safe house arranged by the special service, and it turns out Ren is also sticking with them. Lin then says our boy's room is next to hers, and that this girl will be sleeping in the garage. Han tells her not to make Ren angry because she had already burned some monsters badly before, so recruiting her would be very helpful for them. Hearing this, Lynn walks off angrily, telling them to do whatever they want. When she leaves, Ren clings to him and suggests they head over to his room and start smashing her heaven gate. However, our boy tells her he's already tired today and thinks they should just go to their own rooms, which makes Ren think he doesn't like her anymore. But he explains that once he gets some rest, he'll outtime every top idol in the hub industry. After he enters the room, he lets out a sigh, but then Wang Xiang tells him that if he and those girls go at it all together, he'll give him even more points. With a menacing look, our boy turns his face and tells Wang Xiang that he now knows why he wants him to do such R-rated, ungodly stuff. It's simply because he doesn't have a Jen or Wiener to do it with, which makes Wang Xiang nervous. But then Wang Xiang explains that he created the game thinking it was no different from the real world, but then he realized something crucial was missing, which is the kind of wrestling that doesn't need a ring. But he couldn't bring that concept into the game since he's a virgin so pure, he doesn't even know the gentle touch of his own right hand, which is why he now has to observe our boy to gather data, just like OpenAI. Han then tells him that ungodly sites exist for free on the internet, but Wang Xiang says that won't work because he can actually feel whatever the game characters he created are feeling. Our boy tells him that he'll clap Ren for the pleasure he needs, but he should first shut down those damn piss portals raining from the sky, because thanks to him, the whole world's swirling straight down the cosmic butthole of chaos. But Wang Xiang nervously tells him he can't stop, which leaves our boy completely stunned. Wang Xiang then awkwardly explains that it's good for him more girls, more fun, but when Han tries to switch off his butthole plug, Wang quickly stops him. Wang then tearfully explains that he messed up the code, causing the two worlds to connect, and now he can no longer close those portals, and he also doesn't know when it will begin again. Han gets pissed hearing this, and snaps that he's about to end both worlds, just because he wants to know what it feels like to suck on a pair of milk bazookas, but he assures him that he can fix it as long as he gathers enough data. Han lies on his bed in dissatisfaction and immediately falls asleep. He wakes up the next morning and is shocked to find that his clothes have disappeared. When he turns his head to the left side, he sees Ren peacefully lying next to him on the bed. He panics and quickly tucks away his morning soldier, asking how she even got in because he's pretty sure he locked the door, but she casually explains that she simply pushed it open, which our boy finds to be a weird way of saying she used an explosive. However, Han worries that she might have stolen his liquid children, but she assures him that his seeds are still perfectly intact, stored safely at the bottom of his balls, because she wants him to rest up to ensure the premium quality of his semen and make sure she doesn't accidentally give birth to a celebrity who sells bathwater labeled as holy. She then gets up and says she'll make him breakfast, but our boy is still concerned and thinks he's got to be more careful from now on. He comes downstairs and calls the security company, asking for locks and to make sure they're explosion-proof. Han looks into the kitchen and sees Ren about to fry a whole tiger to make a dish that'll replenish his body, but he quickly tells her to return the tiger to the zoo. After this, our boy starts closing the door, but a hand suddenly stops it. He looks up and sees another gorgeous woman standing there, desperately looking for him. Our boy is completely shocked after seeing her stunning and curvy figure. She then pulls out her sword, telling him her name is Liu, and not to worry because she just wants to borrow something from him, and those words hit our boy like an electric shock straight to the spine. She explains that she's the princess of the Northern Wind Empire. However, the demons attacked her city half a year ago, burning it straight to the ground and wiping out every last elite soldier like they were bugs. So now she's on her revenge arc and finding ways to get rid of demons, and it turns out the only hope is to retrieve the sword that once conquered the land and re-establish the Northern Wind Empire, and that person is his great-great-great-grandfather. Our boy isn't amused to hear this, especially since he's tied to a chair. She tells him that by claiming the bloodline of his family, she'll be able to restore her kingdom. Han tells her he'll give it to her as long as she promises to go back. She then says that the demons are also looking for him, so once it's done, she'll send him on his way. Liu pulls out her sword and unleashes her strip technique. Han's clothes fly off with ease, and the moment she sees the legendary vertical shaft, she instantly falls in love. And she now understands why his ancestors were called the Guardian Dragon Generals, because that thing's aura literally sets the gates of heaven on fire. She instantly jumps with a glamorous double front flip onto the hydraulic jack and twists. She starts blushing at the sequence as she feels the force, which makes our boy cry, though even he can't tell if it's from happiness or sadness. But she refuses to yield and starts moving, because according to the novel she read, The real magic happens when you move. However, she gets interrupted by Lynn holding her at gunpoint, asking what the two are doing. Liu mockingly asks if that is her consort and then tells her she's too late. She has already succeeded. Lynn yells at our boy because the outside is in utter chaos while he's too busy launching his own special yogurt bullets in her battlefield. Just then, our boy realizes that if Leo has appeared, it means the sky has begun another massive wave of glowing purple piss. He quickly asks for an update on the situation, and Lynn explains that they're currently recovering the descended items, but a small squad is in serious trouble, and the director urgently wants them to head there for a rescue mission. However, Liu won't allow him until he gives her his thick creamy sauce, but then our boy tells her the dragon doesn't shoot flames unless it wants to, so she can try to milk him all she wants, but it'll be like trying to poop during constipation. Liu is shocked because, in the novels she reads, most of them last half a minute, so in the end, she gives up and says she'll wait until the time comes. After this, Han comes up with a condition that he'll give her a chance as long as she stays to help him. Liu agrees and tells him to give her the list, and she'll send them straight to the Reaper's Airbnb. 20 minutes ago, the squad they were supposed to rescue got completely wiped out, and Tang picked up the walkie-talkie with a devilish smile and called for backup himself, which led to the deployment of Lin Fi as reinforcement. Meanwhile, our boy and Lin rush out of the house in a car, with Lin speeding down the lane while telling our boy to shut up and let her cook. She also has the special support team right behind her. Lin commands one team to handle the rescue, while commanding the remaining squads to stick with her and provide full combat support. Suddenly, lasers start flying toward their car, but luckily Han manages to avoid them by swiftly turning the steering wheel. However, the background characters helplessly watch death approach with pure terror and disbelief in their eyes, since they don't have the author on their side, and they end up swallowing the lasers and exploding right after. Lin is shocked watching her half-support team pop like cheap fireworks, but when they look up ahead, they see something even scarier. A squad of shiny bald men with sea-level guns, gleaming like bootleg hitmans fresh out of a meth lab. Lin tells them to spread out. The bald guys charge up their rifles, but suddenly their guns get chopped into pieces and their heads start popping. It's Liu wreaking havoc on the battlefield like a cold-blooded goddess. Our boy also starts gaining experience points, because Liu is now considered his subordinate. Han feels happy because he can get stronger just by lying around all day, only needing to send these girls to farm. Suddenly, they hear a sound coming from behind, and then a giant robotic snake pops out of the ground, making their faces drop in sheer terror. Lin quickly steps on the gas pedal as they try to escape from the giant snake. Our boy finally decides to contribute something other than breathing, and uses his earthbinding skill to tie the snake up, but the monster breaks free like it's tearing through wet toilet paper. Our boy realizes it's time to strap on his Doomfist gloves again and deliver a full-blown suplex special, but before he can even flex, Liu lands on the hood of the car and lets him know he ain't built for that type of enemy just yet. However, our boy doesn't hear her because he's too focused on the mommy goal. Just then, Liu stands up and says she'll handle the snake while they take care of their part, and then she lunges toward it like a fearless queen ready to unleash chaos. Our boy realizes he can't just sit around, so he draws a card and picks a skill card, hoping for an ability that one-shots the snake into another timeline. However, he gets scammed and loses 50 points for some kind words, which pisses him off even more when Wang Xiang reminds him that he still hasn't given him any fan service, so that's why he got this result. Suddenly, an arrow flies in and sticks to the car door, which then explodes off. But luckily, Lin is riding our boy like a rodeo champ, so she ends up perfectly fine. Just then, the author suddenly spawns a bunch of speed bumps for maximum fan service, and the car rocks back and forth like a possessed washing machine, turning our boy into the Vibrator Pro Max, with turbo mode fully activated. And she says she didn't know he had a gun, and it's poking her really hard. So our boy lets her know he sure has a gun, but his doesn't shoot bullets, it fires future children. Wang Sheng is extremely satisfied watching this unholy act, to the point that smoke literally starts coming out of him. And our boy realizes there's a familiar face standing right in front of their car. It's Tang, gripping the sea-level executioner's blade with a sinister grin and eyes locked, ready to swing it down. Our boy quickly takes out a card because he can't dodge it. Tang swings his sword at the car, cutting it into 2 parts, and then turns his face like Oppenheimer, just before a huge explosion goes off. However, as Tang turns his face and the smoke begins to fade, our boy walks out in full diamond armor, carrying Lin in his arms. And seeing how hard our boy's diamond armor is, Lynn also starts dripping real hard. Tang continues swinging his sword around and trying to slice our boy up. Han tells Lynn to stay back while he charges toward the attacks and activates his shield, completely eating up all those attacks. Tang realizes fighting this guy is anything but fair, so he resorts to getting help from his second squad of people with guns, but this time they have hair. Lynn notices that those are the guys with the explosive arrows and wonders how the hell Tang managed to gather this circus of clowns. The hair squad rains fire arrows at full force on our boy, but he just keeps eating them up. However, our boy struggles to move as each step feels heavier than the last, and witnessing this, Tang, with a sinister smile, thinks he has it down and will get his victory. But Han just keeps advancing and moving forward, letting him know that those just tickle him. Tang realizes our boy is trying to get close to him and redirect the firepower onto him, but he counters that by moving his feet and running away. However, our boy smiles wickedly at him and counters the counter by rooting Tang's feet with his pubic hair, giving him no damn chance to move. So Tang starts breaking into a sweat, yelling at his crew to stop firing before they accidentally roast their own boss. But they can't really hear him, as their ears are ringing from all the explosions, so they wonder why their fearless leader isn't running out of there. Just then, these guys who collectively share 1.5 brain cells come to the conclusion that Tang is using himself as bait. So they start raining fire to make sure they don't disappoint their guildmaster or Tang. After this, they unleash their full firepower and continuously shower Han with explosives. Tang realizes his soul is packing its bags and ready for reincarnation because there's no way he's surviving what's coming next, as Han is now at point-blank range. Suddenly, a bird flies in and spits flames at all the soldiers. It's Ren, and she's here to assist them, giving our boy the opportunity to attack. Tang requests a timeout because he can't find his defense emblem, but our boy doesn't give a damn about that, and blasts a hole straight through his chest with his hand, turning him into a donut. Meanwhile, a guy on a rooftop with a telescope used to watch the chaos is left surprised, and then reports to a girl that Guildmaster Tang just got turned into a cooked donut. The girl tells him that that's good, because it means Han is more worthy of being recruited, and she tells the guy to recruit him into the guild at all costs. The girl's name is Bao Xiangyi, and she's the Ice Frost Silver Moon Guild president. And if you look carefully, there's another hot chicken line coming for our boy's vibrator. Just then, we see Donut Tang lying flat on the ground, and our boy only earns 50 experience points for turning this tough opponent into human compost. At that moment, Lynn calls out to him and tells him to come over. Soon after, Tang slowly opens his eyes and finds himself in a quiet, unfamiliar room. He smiles as he realizes he's still alive. Meanwhile, our boy catches a discount Ken from their squad, who confesses that he's a member of the Frost Silver Moon Guild, and they came to ambush the police and steal the badges they had collected. Our boy then asks him who their guild leader is, and the blonde man quickly shakes his head and nervously says he doesn't know, since outside members aren't qualified to meet the leader. After that, Lynn hauls the suspect off to the police station for questioning, but right then, Ren clings to our boy and asks him how her performance was today. Han tells her it was really great, and hearing this, Ren grabs his hand and plants it right on her milk airbags. She then asks if he can reward her with some thick yogurt. Our boy tries to make an excuse by saying she should help Liu first, but then Liu finishes off the robotic snake by cutting it into pieces. She puts her sword between her cheeks and proudly says it took some serious effort, but it's finally done. Our boy earns 100 experience points, and when he checks his stats window, he sees that all his abilities have increased. However, he also thinks he should save more points, especially since he doesn't want to draw a kind words card again. Later at home, our boy is lying on the couch scrolling through food apps and getting ready to order something spicy. But then Ren brings him noodles she just made. Han immediately starts eating, but then Ren asks when he's going to make her some white noodles, and upon hearing this, our boy nearly spits out his food. Just then, Leo shows up, and she's also brought some food she cooked for our boy, but then both of them start arguing over whose cooking he'll say is the best. Han somehow manages to finish his meal in the middle of their fight and quickly heads out. But as soon as he opens the door, he finds another pair of soft cheeks standing right in front of him. She introduces herself as Bao's personal secretary, shakes hands with our boy, and invites him to dinner tonight. She gives him a suit that was specially prepared for him, but our boy can't remember who Miss Bao is. She then asks how many Miss Baos there could possibly be in this city, and hearing this, Han finally remembers the rich queen of the city. Before leaving, the secretary tells him that a car will come to pick him up at 6 p.m. Our boy then wonders why the CEO of the Chung Sheng group suddenly invited him to dinner tonight. After this, he opens the box and finds stacks of cash inside, which leave him completely shocked. Meanwhile, at the headquarters, Lynn finds out that our boy went alone to a dinner event and asks if anyone has contacted him. An officer says that a car from the Qiangsheng group came to meet him in the afternoon and gave them 3 boxes. Since it's a well-known company in the city, they didn't stop them. Hearing this, Lynn yells at them in anger and fires them on the spot. On the other side, at the Changsheng headquarters, we see that all the wealthy families have arrived for the event. Just then, Miss Bao enters the hall, and everyone's jaws drop when they see her flawless fair body. And people start gossiping that she earned her PhD at 19, solved a world-class quantum physics problem at 21, and doubled her company's valuation before most people learned to pay their own bills. And someone tell OpenAI to hire her before they start firing people just to look profitable on paper. Suddenly, a long red carpet is rolled out across the floor, and with bright lights flashing, a man with nest-like hair makes his dramatic entrance, along with his 3 bald-headed lackeys, and soon they start singing their silly entrance song. He's Cao Taidi, and his dad is the governor of Guangxun province. He then rolls forward on his skates to hug Miss Bao, but at that exact moment, our boy's just minding his own business, eating like a broke college kid. Cao's balls accidentally slam into our boy's leg, hard enough to make his future kids cry from the aftershock. Cao angrily tells him to pay for the damage, but our boy refuses because he doesn't cover Ball's stupidity insurance. So Cao orders his bald-headed goons to flush him out. Just as they move forward, Bao stops them, saying that he's her honored guest and they can't hurt him. Hearing this, Cao gets confused and starts wondering who this special guest could be, but then he angrily asks our boy to introduce himself. Just as Han begins to speak, Bao takes his hand and close to her milk tankers, leaving Cao's eyes to have a premature ejaculation. Bao then takes our boy away, while Cao stands furious and grinding his teeth in frustration. Once inside the room, Bao sits down on a chair and slowly begins to take off her stockings, which causes our boy's erection to slowly start growing. Bao asks him if he knows why she invited him here. Our boy replies that it's probably to invite him into her guild since he turned her member Tang into a donut. Bao then asks him what price he wants to join her guild. Our boy refuses, saying that the 5 million she sent him earlier is more than enough. But then he moves closer to her and says that if she really wants him to join her guild, she'll have to offer him something he's much more interested in,